What's up, millionaires? It's your boy Millionaire E coming at you with a TV show review. Now, the TV show we're going to be talking about today is Everybody Still Hates Chris. Now, if you haven't seen this series or the original Everybody Hates Chris, you should check it out. Now, also before I get started as well, this episode is like the first episode, and I only was able to see it because it's on Comedy Central, but I was only able to see it because they put it on YouTube. Comedy Central had put the first episode on YouTube. So I don't know if they're going to continue to do that or you'll have to see it on Comedy Central. So this is going to be kind of like my first review of the said show. Now, if they do add those, I'll kind of give y'all, oh, if I saw the second episode and it's different from this episode, then I might, do another video talking about that. But we're going to be talking about the first episode today. So let's get started. Now, if you've never heard of the show Everybody Hates Chris, or Everybody Still Hates Chris, the show Everybody Hates Chris it's a story that's told about Chris Rock. Basically, he's telling his story, how he lived in Bed-Stuy with his father Julius, his mother Rochelle, his brother Drew, and his sister Tanya. And they lived in this town, kind of in Bed-Stuy. And basically, he goes to this all-white school where, he has a racist teacher and, he's always getting bullied a lot. So it's Chris Rock telling his story. And just to emphasize on this show, I feel like this show is very kind of funny. It's funny because it's relatable, because there were certain things like, never to talk back to your mom. So, for example, in this one episode, in Everybody Hates Chris, he's all kind of, acting big and bold. And his mom was like, Chris. And he's like, what? And you can literally tell by the facial features that he knew he messed up when he said that. And then you go into another. So it's basically kind of like how in this show, how a comedian kind of tells his life stories, but they kind of add things to it that may not have happened to make it a little bit more funnier. And that's why I kind of think I like it, because it's relatable and it is really funny. So I say you should check it out. I believe it's on CW. I don't. CW or CW Seed. Now, getting into Everybody Hates Chris. Everybody Still Hates Chris. Now, before I get started with this, I don't want to offend anybody. I'm just going to say, I really didn't like it. And to start the episode, basically, it is starting from the end of the last season of Everybody Hates Chris, where he gets his GED and he's eating in this diner, and basically, we're checking if he passed or he didn't pass. And then basically he fails it in this Everybody Still Hates Chris. His mom goes, boy, I'm going to slap you into a new animation, where she slaps him from live action to now an animated series, which now would go to Everybody Still Hates Chris. Now, this episode is basically where he's trying to kind of get back into school, because being that he failed the GED, he's not able to. And also, he hasn't gone to classes because he's been sent to the principal's office. There's a lot of stuff, but I mean, I don't want to spoil everything for y'all, but he's basically having to retake the 10th grade. And of course, he does a couple of things where he pretends to be in a gang. Now, the thing is, there are a few things that I really didn't like about the show. And the first thing I will say is I don't like the theme. And when I say the theme, I mean like the theme and even the outro of the song, Everybody Hates Chris. Because in the original, basically, when there's like at the ending of every episode, there's something happens. It's like, everybody hates Chris. But then in this new one, it's more in a higher tone. And it's like, I'm a sucker for the old one. And another thing I will say is the animation style. Now, before we even get to the animation, the characters themselves, I will say, match the originals, if not a bit heightened, as far as to say. But this is only the first episode. But the other thing that I would talk about is as far as the animation style. And the animation, it gives me, like, at first when I was watching it, I had to watch it like 2 times. At first it was giving me Family Guy, but then I was like, no, it's not Family Guy. it's giving me like a adult animation show that you see that's like super vulgar and super sexist, or a lot, just a whole bunch of stuff in it, like cussing, sexual stuff, and all that. And the thing is not saying that the original Everybody Hates Chris didn't have that. Like they had cussing in there. They did have some stuff, but it wasn't that. Like I didn't think that Everybody Hates Chris, the original, was an adult show. So in watching this, I was just like, yeah, this is kind of, because for one thing, like out of the Everybody Hates Chris shows or episodes that I've seen, I've never heard them drop a GD. And they did in this one. I was like, oh wow. And they also emphasized on like there was one time he almost said the MF word. So I was like, yeah, it's kind of, the animation just is kind of a turnoff for me. And then the next thing I would say is, as like I said, telling you about, how Everybody Hates Chris made you laugh because it was relatable. I have to say, this just wasn't funny. Like, there was one part I was kind of like, hey, yo, this is kind of funny a little bit, because they were talking about how he had to get on the buses, and like basically it's like the buses drove past our neighborhood, and his neighborhood, like Bedside, was a black neighborhood, and it had like a black man with hot sauce on it, and then the next one was this other nationality with hot sauce on it, and then the last one, like the last bus stop where the bus actually stopped, where it was like, oh, the white neighborhood, it had this dude who was sweating, and it was like Mike's mayonnaise, which was, I guess that would be funny, but other than that, like literally, I sat there and watched the episode. I didn't find anything funny out of it, and I'm like, and interestingly enough, after that, I watched like some of the old episodes of Everybody Hates Chris, or some of the funniest parts in there, or funny scenes, and they were funny. They gave me a little chuckle. I was laughing, but I was just like, in this one, it was just, it. There was nothing to laugh at, honestly, which kind of made me think. I'm like, I wonder, is it because it's not relatable if it's not in live action, or if it's just there just wasn't any funny jokes in it. So I was like, yeah. In watching this show, I was just I don't know where I'd say I would put the show. I mean, like I obviously don't like it. I mean, there might be some people who might like it, but for me, it just wasn't funny. The animation was a turn, like the way the characters look is just so, again, like I said, reminds me of an adult cartoon. And it's weird how they look, excuse me. And so it's like there's that, and then the theme, like the theme song, it's not it's not that major, like, but it's just I prefer the original. So yeah, if you've seen the original Everybody Hates Chris, and tell me what you think in comparison to this first episode. And if you haven't, I encourage you to check out the old Everybody Hates Chris. Now, we'll say there are things like, being that basically this is, him telling his story, there are some as I say, racial things connected to it, but this is Chris Rock basically telling a show in the original show. So I encourage you to check it out. And remember, y'all, like the video, share with your fam, and if you're subscribed, click that bell icon to be notified for more videos. And I'll see you on the next video, y'all. Bye, y'all. Have a blessed day, New Year's. Bye.